Welcome to the Average Australian Podcast.
Oh, what a fabulous volley from Tim Cahill! You will not see a better goal than that at the World Cup this summer.
Oh, great save again by Schwarzer! Huge save! Cahill! Tim Cahill has done it again!
Might drop for Fornaroli! Oh, that is simply brilliant!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Average Australian Football Podcast. This is episode 28. It's a special episode this week with the A-League final soon upon us. We will of course recap all of the A-League transfer news, plus at least the last round of the A-League, and then look at all the EPL, CL and FA Cup news and results. To analyse this week's football action, I am joined once again by Edin. Edin, hello, how are you?
Doing good. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, not bad. It's always a bit brutal going back to work after the public holiday, but, you know, we managed.
Yeah, that was all over all too quickly, wasn't it?
Monday afternoon, it was about 4 p.m, and I was just hating my life. I was like, not again.
Starting to get a panic attack, were you?
I know, right?
Yeah, you can feel the end coming upon you.
Definitely.
But, yeah, that's all right. Finals football is almost upon us as well.
We're on to the end of the A-League, the first season that we've done the podcast. Interesting, there's quite a bit of transfer news leading up to the finals themselves. Most noticeably, Thomas Broich, right? I find it pretty strange he's come out with that news like a week before the finals. It seems an odd time to announce that.
That took me by surprise today because, I mean, I think at the start of the season it was looking like he might retire anyway just because he was struggling with injuries and things like that. But he's come good towards the end of the season now. He's had some really good games. And everyone thought, he might actually be able to go around again. And you just thought it was a no-brainer that he'd play another season for Brisbane. So for him to walk, I think that's actually huge. I don't know if he's announced it now just to maybe give the Brisbane team a bit of added motivation in the finals.
Do you think it is motivation? Because it's proving like even the managers come out and said what a distraction it's been leading up to the finals.
I don't know. And maybe it's a negotiating tactic and he's like, obviously, I don't know if he's actually signed anywhere else. Maybe he's still banking on the fact that Brisbane Roar might do something to shell out for him. I mean, I would have thought, he's been a marquee. He's been there for ages. He's an absolute club legend, probably the best import we've ever had in the A-League in terms of longevity and quality of performances and things like that. You would have thought him and Brisbane Roar could have come to an agreement, and I would have thought at this stage he probably wouldn't have been on too much salary anyway. But maybe he sees that he can go somewhere else and get a bit more money for another year. But that really came out of the blue. But there's heaps of news all of a sudden. O'Donovan obviously confirmed.
Mariners does the switch to Jets.
Yeah, wow, that's huge. I reckon Jets would have paid a lot for him. And I think
what do you think of that transfer? Because I rated him at the start of the season, but I think he's been very poor for at least 2 months. And obviously, going to a new club, he may reset and go again. But we spoke about this at the start of the season. I just don't like seeing this merry-go-round of transfers.
Yeah. Look, and we talked about that. I'd rather see teams actually look elsewhere and try to find some fresh blood. Yeah. But at the same time, he's a proven A-League talent. I think you're right. He has kind of gone off the boil recently in a Mariners side that hasn't been that bad, which is interesting. So that's been a bit strange, and obviously he's going to arch rivals Newcastle. It's really just a matter of are they going to build a team around him or not? Because if he's in another team like what the Mariners were, he'll get you 10, 12 goals a season, but so what? It's not going to win you a title. For him to be on a 16, 18, 20 goal a season player, he needs players around him. There's rumours that Newcastle are going to go for Ben Kalfala. They've picked up Georgievski, I think. So,
I saw Nordstrand announced on Instagram he's gone.
He's gone, yeah. So, I mean, obviously with O'Donovan there, I mean, that's
the manager's gone, obviously.
Yeah, and if they can keep Naboot as well, then, that's looking pretty good. But they need to, again, it's all about the delivery and the team around him. And now with the news that Mark Jones is gone, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen, because I mean they've been signing these players. They don't have a manager now, so who's what's going to happen? Yeah, so what's going to happen when the manager decides that he doesn't want Roy O'Donovan or Ben Calfalar or whoever else they might have signed up? It's crazy.
What do you think of the Mariners, like who they've lost? O'Donovan, Paul Izzo's going back to Adelaide. Similar to Newcastle in a lot of ways, they've got a fair bit of rebuilding to do. I suppose like even Wellington, they haven't started theirs yet, but they're three clubs like clearly in need of restructuring.
Oh, I think so. I mean, look, I think for Mariners it'll be a clean out. They picked up Tavares and Jacques Fati. They hardly did anything all season. They're gone. So it looks like Mariners may actually have like five import spots up for grabs. I don't know. Ferreira, I don't know if he's actually an Australian citizen now. He might be getting close. He's worth keeping around for another season. But apart from that, I think they're going to have foreign spots up for grabs. And
the question is whether they can like attract the foreigners to there.
That's the problem. And look, for the Mariners, it's always been about getting good Aussie youngsters, a few sort of strong, I guess, veteran players, someone like a Montgomery who's been around for a while now, and building a team around them. And they've always punched above their weight that way. So I think they just need to be smart with who they recruit, and keep going for those Aussie youngsters as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens. Obviously, with the finals coming up, we have plenty of time to talk about the transfers. Let's go back quickly, though, to round 27, the last round of the season. I guess it started pretty ordinary with Victory beating the Mariners. Berisha finally got his 100th goal, which I think is important because you just don't want to talk about it in the finals. You need it to be over and done with. I don't think Victory were great. I think there's still concerns at home, especially. And I think they may be happy that they've got the week off, because I don't think they'd go into a game too confident.
No, nothing's changed for them. You know, everybody thought, that this will be the one that they bounce back, and they were just sort of, uninspiring and unimpressive. You know, they beat the Mariners, but so what? I think probably, like you said, the best thing that happened there for them was that Berisha got his 100th, because everybody was getting sick of that, I'm sure, at the Victory, and that's the monkey off the back there. And just the fact that they scored some goals, because I think their goalless drought was going on to like 4 or 5 hours or something like that. So it was getting to be a bit of a problem. But in terms of the performance, still worrying. They've really dropped off. Troisi's gone quiet. Rojas has gone quiet. Berisha's still struggling. Ben Calfalar has fallen away big time as well. Danger signs for them, you know.
It's difficult, right? Because you just don't know what Victory is going to turn up when they do play. Like, it's dangerous because you're playing a team high of confidence off their victory in the finals. It's a big moment for Victory as a club, right? Because they could easily just go straight out.
Yeah, and that's right. And now they got a week off. That's going to kill any momentum that they would have had. It's a long time to be sitting around and waiting for an opponent. And it's hard to switch it on, I think.
It is, yeah. You almost need like a friendly, don't you, against the club, somehow.
Yeah, I think Sydney will be playing like an intra-club friendly. And I don't know what Victory are going to do, but they need to do something to stay fresh. This is dangerous for them to finish second and have a really good season that they have. And like you said, they could be knocked out almost straight away, because, it's just really hard to turn on a performance like that when like you said, the momentum's gone, the form's gone, and the other sides are all pretty good at the moment. Yeah. And if the results go that certain way that it becomes a derby final, it's just going to be on.
Yeah, I mean, every team they're potentially playing is scoring goals at the moment. So, I mean, they're in real trouble. Not that I don't think they've got the quality to overcome that, but yeah, it's interesting times for Melbourne Victory. Going on to Sydney, they had no problems obviously scoring against the Newcastle Jets that we've said has pretty much gone on holiday. Ironically, Naboo missed a penalty. I think he was one of 3 penalties missed on the weekend. I think there was like 7 total for the round, which is crazy.
Just a shock.
That VAR coming in handy, I guess.
That's right.
Given penalties all over the place. I don't think there's much to say. Sydney, once again, clinical. Ninkovic, question marks over him. He has come out and said that he vows to be fit for it. So, I don't know. They'll strap his legs together or something. He should be fine. just comfortable, right? There's not much too much to say about it.
Well, it was interesting that at the start, actually, Newcastle looked all right.
If that penalty converted, it's a different game.
Yeah, that's right. And Newcastle were getting in behind them a couple of times. So that was interesting. And then in typical sort of fashion, Newcastle not good enough to get the job done. Sydney clinical. Crunching tackle on Ninkovic. Seriously.
Big tackle.
That should have probably been a red, and that would have been hearts in mouths moments for Arnold and Sydney FC fans. So in that case, I think the week break is going to come in handy for Sydney.
They seem to be very professional about it too. I don't think a week off is going to hurt them.
Oh no, Arnie will whip them. He's not going to give them a moment to rest. But again, it could be another derby final for them as well if results go a certain way. So this is shaping up to be a really interesting final series, I reckon.
Yeah, it's looking good. Just moving on quickly, we'll go to Adelaide, the Wanderers. Wanderers theoretically missed a big chance to finish top 4, but I guess the week prior, that draw pretty much snuffed any chance they had. They needed a lot of results to go their way this week, but Adelaide once again finished the season strongly. I think they're going to do a lot better next season.
It's strange, yeah. Adelaide, I think they probably should have won that game against the Wanderers as well, and they looked really good. They kind of went out, they didn't go out with a bang, but they did all right. They ended it on a positive note, with another draw and positive results towards the end, but just, too little too late for them, unfortunately. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens there as well, because already it looks like there's going to be a clean out on the cards. I think McGowan's gone to Europe potentially.
How do you think he'll go? I think he's a little too young.
Well, I don't think he's bad. I think he's pretty strong. He's strong in the air. He's got the physique, maybe not quite the touch or the pace, but I think he could mix it up and maybe in a lower league. But the word on the street is that Thirio's gone, Karuska's gone, Amora's gone, Galekovic is gone. Diawara, I don't know if they've actually re-signed him. They're going to
have to keep him.
He's going to be a wanted man now because he's come in and done really well. So Adelaide again, and this is what the talk is now is, well, what's happening with Amor? I know they've still got Champions League and he doesn't want to give that up at the moment and cause more turmoil for the team. But what's happening? They need to start planning for next season already, because this is exactly what happened to them last time around. They left it too late, and so they got to start planning. If Moore's not going to be there, if it's going to be Batistuta or whoever's going to be there, they need to start making some plans for that now. So
because even with him, they've delayed talks, so they seem to be not learning their lesson from last season.
Look, I think fair enough. They want to get Champions League out the way, and there's not too much longer to go to find out whether they're going to be in there or not. So I think they just need to get that out the way and get on with it. But they finished the season all right. I think if they do the off season well, then they should be back to where they deserve to be, up the top. But this is a huge off season for Adelaide.
You think? I think he was linked to Newcastle, but you think there's any rumours in Harry Kewell coming to coach next season in Australia? I think it's I don't like coaches just coming in because of their name. I know he's been at Watford, but he got sacked as an under-23 manager. So he's not coming in off hot form or anything. So it seems kind of strange to link him.
Look, he's got the name and stuff like that, and obviously that would bring a little bit of X factor and stuff like that, and I'm sure, the players would
appreciate
that, but I think you're right. I don't like that. You see that time in, time out around the world.
Yeah.
Ex-players come in and it's not like AFL. You look at AFL especially, or NRL, it's always you're a player and then you're a coach. Because, let's be honest, it's not the most sophisticated sport.
The thing is, as well, you find players when they're injured, they actually are in the coaching position, in the box. So, they get exposed to it, I think, more often. And just how it's done tactically, I think it's less analytic-based.
It's just about revving up the boys and, come on, go smash them, all that sort of stuff, whatever.
We're probably offending, half the country.
Oh, stuff it. I don't care. This is a football podcast. But, look. But, and football's different. And so, I just don't know. I mean, you look at Aloisi, like Aloisi's starting to get it together now. But when he was at Melbourne Heart, I mean, they couldn't win a game. It was sad. It was actually bordering on like being sad. Like Heart didn't have the heart to let him go. And eventually, like, it was just getting so sad and pathetic that they were like, John, I'm sorry, you're a legend. You scored the penalty, but
you're gonna have to go.
To sack you because you're just shit. But like fighting, but he's learned his lesson now, and he's obviously, I'm sure he's learned a lot, and he's a much better manager now. But do these teams want someone to be learning on the job like that, or do they actually want to? I mean, I think
he's still got questions to answer, because I still question his man management, and I think we'll see at the end of this season what sort of departure. Like Broish going's probably not a big fan favourite moment inside the actual club. McLaren question marks, right? So I mean, like, if they lose this finals and then lose like 3 or 4 key players, I mean, what has he actually done?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so look, I don't know. Tough one on both fronts there.
Yeah.
For Kewell, I think it's too early. He needs to pay his dues. I get it. You're a legend, but you got to pay your dues. And you're right with Raw. They're doing well at the moment, but they still haven't done anything.
Yeah, what do you make of their performance? Like, they obviously went the 3-1 down to Wellington. I thought Wellington were going to do Perth Glory a huge favour. And then I guess the other talking point is McLaren missing the penalty to win the Golden Boot outright. That would have got him to 20 goals, which is hugely impressive. But I mean, Brisbane win. They keep their final, but they weren't exactly defensively like that secure. And I mean, we'll talk about the final in a second. But what do you make of their performance?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, again, like Wellington are a lot like Adelaide in this regard. Like, where have they been all season? Like, all of a sudden, Wellington are like red hot, and it's like, well, what the hell? Where did this come from?
Especially with like the victory exports like Finkler and that. Like, where did they just died at the start of the season, then they've like sort of started to come good. I mean, I think both are probably going to leave, but it must be frustrating for Wellington, because on paper, like you've said so many times, their team looks so strong.
Yeah, and look, I think so many things conspired against them at the start, and I think even one of the things that happened was that earthquake in Wellington. I think that even shook up some of the foreign players' families and things like that. I think Finkler might have been one of them, where his family actually like moved back to Brazil after that earthquake.
Oh, really? Wow.
So that might have, that would have upset his rhythm and stuff like that. But like you said, all of a sudden Finkler's like back to some of his best. Barbarouses has been much better. Krishna's been red hot all season. Bonavacia finally stepping it up. Their defending's gotten a bit better as well. Wellington, like Ernie Merrick would be spewing.
It must be pretty bad that you go back to Brazil for safety.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
How bad are those earthquakes?
We're going back to Rio. We can't stay in we can't stay in the Shire anymore. We can't stay in Wellington. It's just too dangerous. But I think that was a pretty bad earthquake. And it did affect some of the players, but just everything went wrong for Wellington at the start of the season, and they finally got it together. Brisbane, McLaren's red hot again at the moment, but I think the big one that everyone's talking about is Holman. Finally, he's showing his potential.
I think he's an outsider for team of the season, to be honest.
Well, yeah, he's hardly played, and it hasn't. It just shows if he had like a full preseason and he was full fitness and stuff, he's deadly. I mean, people were expecting him to come and carve up the A-League, and it didn't quite work out for him, but you've seen there the quality, and he could be the X factor in the finals for Brisbane, especially with him, and then McLaren really on song at the moment as well in terms of his finishing. He's gone to another level now, McLaren as well. So I think Brisbane are looking good. I think that's like maybe something like 5 wins or something like that. 5 out of their last 6, including beating Cashmere Antlers. So
it's I think what's impressive about Brisbane, and one of their key things going in, is that they've got Holman and McLaren both in good form, and then you've got Borello who's like the backup striker, and even he's scoring goals. So I mean, they've got a lot of options, and you look at some of those finals teams, they don't have that at the moment.
They look good. They look good, Brisbane. So I think they're every chance to maybe even go all the way. Who knows?
Potentially. We'll talk about their game real quick, but let's go into the crazy crazy 9-goal thriller in Perth. So many questions. Like the goal, the ready goal at the end. Like,
yeah.
Is this one of those games that's just crazy because Perth need 4 goals to win, and like whatever happens, you just write it off as that? Or do you look at Perth being 4-1 up and then saying, well, once again, their defense, their tactics, their structure wasn't good enough because at 4-1 with 15 minutes to play, they should have gone on and done it.
Yeah. Look, I think the big talking point really is City just copying it. Like you said, I mean, for Glory, they knew the score. They had to go and win by 4, and they just went all guns blazing. They just went all out, and they got so close. And then, like you said, for whatever reason, they just seemed to switch off at 4-1 in typical Glory fashion. But I think for them, you know, the good news is City came back. City got it, you know, back to being close, and
4-3, yeah.
Glory found another goal again. So I think, you know, probably Glory at this stage have just given up on defending. I think they're just an all-out attack team now. It's like, whatever, you know, we've got, if we're going to win the league, we need to win 3 games. Might as well just go in and have a shootout in every game now. I mean, Marinkovic's free kick was just
fantastic,
superb. Castro back to some of his best. Taggart and Keogh looked lively. I think Reece Williams and Griffiths back for next week as well.
Cahill once again, great for them.
Cahill, superb for City. I think
that's the concern for Glory, I think.
Well, look, and yeah, this is where it comes down to it. I think, unfortunately for Glory, it's going to be the reverse result next week. I think City will beat them
in a 5-4.
Yeah, well, it could be something like a 3-2. I think Glory will take it to them again.
Do you think they will? Do you think they're just going to go out and attack them again? Because I feel like City are going to be scared what happened in Perth, and they're going to play ultra defensive.
Well, I mean, City again went for the 3 at the back, and they just got carved up. Even with Jakobsen there, they just got carved up. Their one saving grace was really Cahill. Fornaroli didn't do much at all. Kamal looked all right. Calazzo looked all right, but you know, nothing amazing from City. They'd be worried. They were down 4-1 to City. Yeah. I mean, in a game that I think if City won, they could have probably, you know, moved up the ladder, I think, as well there. So just worrying signs for City, really, going into an elimination final to be down 4-1. They just looked lost. And you saw it. They interviewed Cahill at the end of the game, and he just said that was a mess. Like, yeah. I don't think they just lost all their structure. And yeah. Obviously, that's how Glory play. Just running around like a bunch of nutcases. Like, just, you know, this was like but for City to not be able to exert any influence themselves and like calm it down and play their own game, I think that's a worry for them.
So you think it does have an impact on this week? Because, like, I look into the game and I just think in Melbourne, like, I mean, these two teams, in the last 7 matches, they've resulted, I think, like 39 goals. So, yeah. I mean, these two put on performances every time they play. Yeah. The question is, like, does that translate into a finals atmosphere? The game is on the Sunday, I mean...
I think it probably won't have that much of an effect. I think Melbourne will win. I'm tipping Melbourne.
You are tipping Melbourne?
Yeah, I think I've seen this kind of thing happen a fair bit where... You know, you'll beat someone, and then, you know, the next week when it's the more important game, it goes the other way. And I think Melbourne will edge it. Perth, the travel factor for one, a bit of nerves as well, and the other thing is the Cahill factor. The Cahill factor is huge because there's no more big game player than Cahill in the A-League. And I think his ability to score goals out of nothing is huge. But I think it's going to be a cracker. Look, I think Glory, I just hope they haven't, you know, sort of spent themselves on this one, going all out. And now City are going to, you know, have learnt their lesson and will get them on the next one. Like you said, maybe tighten up a bit. And just try and be a little bit more, sort of tight and keep it close.
Unfortunately for Perth, I think this game, especially based off what happened last game, I think this is going to boil down to tactics, and old mate Kenny Lowe, perhaps not best known for his tactical nous. I don't think the travel's going to really play too much of an influence, because I think they've got the extra 2 days. They've got a full week. They have a pretty good record in Melbourne this season. If City score first, I think it's over, like straight away. Because I think, as you said, Tim Cahill in the air, Perth defensively not great. I get the feeling this game might go to extra time. I think it'll be a high scoring. I think it'll be like a 2-2, and I think Perth will just throw it away in extra time.
Yeah, look,
I think it'll end up blowing out to like a 4-2 or something. But I think it should go to extra time, and tactically, I think Perth aren't as good as City are. And,
Look,
it's hard to know which team shows up, right?
This is a tough one. There's plenty of big game players on both sides. There's plenty of goal scorers. This could go either way. I'm just leaning towards Melbourne just for the home factor. And like you said, defensively, I think if it really needs to be tightened up, City might be able to do a better job. But yeah, too close to call almost. I think, like you said, extra time looks quite reasonable.
I think if Perth go into this game with the same mindset they had last week, they're going to get killed. Yeah. Because I think City are going to set up to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because I think Cahill said it best, it was messy. And for all you say about City's defence, it is questionable, but they play 3 at the back. They've got a tactical system in place, and I think this game might start a bit slow, I think.
Yeah, I think it's not going to be helter-skelter from the get-go this time around. It might open up later as the sides go in search for a goal, but yeah, this 5-4 was because of Glory, really.
That situation.
Yeah, that situation kind of created that. I can't see it being that crazy this time around. I think it's going to be a cracking game. I really do. I think this is going to be a good final series.
Yeah, I think City will win. I think it'll be slow paced. There'll be a lot of fouls, and I think once you give City the dead ball, Cahill's going to kill them.
Yeah, and, that's the worry. Cahill. Yeah. If it comes down to it, Cahill is the difference.
If there's a lot of stoppages, especially.
Yep, that's right.
Perth need to keep the ball in transition, but we'll see what happens. I'll go with City, but fingers crossed for the Perth lads. Let's go on to the Friday night game. I think perhaps this is the most interesting of the two. I think especially because you've got Brisbane Roar, who have spent this week talking about Broish, and for some strange reason you've got the Wanderers fans and even the players, like in the interviews, they're talking about playing Sydney FC. Like, you've got to beat Brisbane first, and like Brisbane aren't that, like, they're probably the best team in form outside of Sydney FC in the league right now. Yeah. And they're at home.
Look, if I was Wanderers, I wouldn't be getting ahead of myself like that. Yeah, I think.
Have you seen that? They've talked about what a special occasion the derby will be, and I'm like, do you not realise how this works?
I think that's getting a bit way too ahead of yourself and just getting a bit cocky there. I think the Brisbane are firm favourites for this one. Like you said, I think
because we talk about like their attacking options, like their threats. Like if McLaren goes quiet, they've got Holman and Borrello. If Santaleb goes quiet, we've got question marks like over their whole team. And I think in a final situation, Santaleb may go nuts and score 1 or 2, but Brisbane have to be favourites.
Oh, I think so. Like you said, I think if Brisbane can get past the Wanderers, and they should, if they come up against Sydney, they're a chance. I think Sydney. This is going to be a tough one for Sydney because
how does that work though? Don't Sydney play the highest ranked team that wins?
Oh, is it? So they don't play the winner of Wanderers Brisbane. They play either the Wanderers or the highest ranked winner. Is it?
Yeah, because Wanderers finish 6th. So if they win, they automatically play Sydney.
Right.
And then if Perth win and Brisbane win, Perth play Sydney.
Well, in that case, yeah. Look. Then I think Sydney will probably be breathing a sigh of relief because I reckon Brisbane could knock off Sydney almost.
Well, I think Brisbane will knock off victory, personally, if they beat the Wanderers.
Yeah. I think Brisbane are red hot at the moment. It's McLaren's on fire. Holman's starting to find some form. Broich has been good. Like you said, Borrello's there as well. They look strong. And I think they're going to do the Wanderers easily at Suncorp. I think like you said, the Wanderers have had some good performances lately, but you still, just every week you just wonder where are the goals going to come from. The goals just aren't guaranteed for them, I think.
That's why this is the danger game, because they've got no derby atmosphere to keep it tight. Yeah. Like, this is going to be an actual game, and Brisbane at home are very, very impressive. And I question whether Wanderers can compete in this game. Like, you hope for a tight game, but, Brisbane score first. This could be a comfortable 3-0
yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it and you look at the Wanderers sort of getting a draw against Adelaide.
In the week before that, right?
Yeah. So I think this is the easier one of the two to call. I think Brisbane should get over the line here.
Do you want Brisbane to win, like just personally, because
I think so.
The derby, Sydney derby?
Well, I mean, look, the Sydney derby would be red hot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that would be huge. But I think Brisbane are just better competition.
Deserve it,
and I think they deserve it. They're a more exciting team. And they've just had a better season overall as well. And I think they can get to the grand final, Brisbane.
Yeah,
I really do. So, as much as I'd like to see a Sydney derby, I think Brisbane deserve it.
You think there'd be a bit of an ironic story if Brisbane were the team to face Sydney in the final, given the two teams that get compared so often with each other?
Yeah, look, and that's right. They're sort of the pedal stone over, the A-League
invincible.
That's
type
right.
Team.
Yeah, is them. So, that will be interesting. But look, I just think I'd worry for Sydney. I really would. If there's a team that can knock them off now, it's got to be Brisbane. So I think that would be a huge match.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Brisbane probably have a better chance if they played Sydney first, just because Sydney got that break. And they go in off their form. But, it'll be a fantastic game whenever they do meet, if they do. So with the only two games this week, I think we'll leave the A-League there, unless you want to talk anything else about finals or...
No, I think that's about it. Like you said, lots of transfer news and things like that. But, we can cover that once we've actually got some more concrete info. I think there's going to be plenty of stuff going on over the next couple of weeks. So bring on the finals.
Yeah, definitely, and we will obviously talk about our team of the seasons and have a few awards. I think probably the podcast right before the grand final, so look out for that.
Stay tuned.
We'll stay tuned for that one. Let's kick on to the EPL. It's another week that's sort of interrupted because of the FA Cup, but there was games last weekend, and there was games also on the I think it was the Thursday. That was just a day after our podcast. What do you make of the EPL results? I think the big thing for me is just Chelsea getting absolutely annihilated by Man United. I honestly think it's one of the best tactical performances in the league this season from Jose Mourinho. I don't know how much you watched the game, but there's this really interesting tactical part of it for me. Herrera.
Yep.
No, not Herrera. Sorry, Pogba, and how he was positioned to stop Kante.
Yep. From
getting the ball. Very interesting to anyone involved in that tactical side of things. Traditional Mourinho.
I think excellent. Herrera did also man-mark Kane.
Hazard. That's
right. He had man-marked Hazard, and obviously Ibrahimovic on the bench.
Yeah.
I think this was Mourinho at some of his absolute best.
Definitely.
He masterminded it.
Scares me for next season, because I think United are back.
Yeah, and look, and he's just blown the title race wide open. It's on. It's back on, big time. Chelsea are in trouble now.
It's just the debate is because they got such easy fixtures compared to Spurs.
Well, that's right.
Spurs have to play Arsenal and Man United.
Spurs have Arsenal and Man United, that's right. So that's two tough games. I think Chelsea, the toughest game they've got coming up is Everton, is it?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Everton.
So, you look, I mean, don't get me wrong, Chelsea are still in the box seat and it's all for them to lose. But 4 points, all of a sudden, who would have thought? I mean, they were coasting. And you look at the goal difference, Tottenham have a better goal difference as well.
They do, yeah.
And they've had less losses, actually, than Chelsea.
Know.
So
look at their goals against as well. It's just fantastic defending.
Yeah, and look, this is what I've been saying about Tottenham for a while now. They just keep going under the radar. They finished second last season. They're second again. They're within touching distance, and still, for some reason, the story's never about them. But it's
strange too, right? Because they got Harry Kewell, an English striker.
Yep.
I think the third season in a row he's got 20+ goals in the league.
Yep.
The first one to do it since 64 or something. Like as much as I hate Spurs, they're absolutely firing, and for some reason they I guess because they're historic capitulation they have every season, it works against them.
They're just not a traditional big team, I guess. They're not one of those big teams, but I think he's in illustrious company. Their third season in a row, 20+ goals. I think that's only Shearer and Thierry Henry maybe, and a few other guys have done that. So that's huge. Ali's in form. Their Korean players in form.
Eriksen's great.
Dembele
is one of probably the best centre mids in the. Yeah.
They've got a chance here, Tottenham. I mean, the Arsenal game is going to be massive, absolutely massive. They're a shot. They're as good a chance as anyone to knock off Arsenal right now. And then, Man United, that'll be a tough one. That's where they might, the best I think they can get out of that is a point, to be honest, because Man United also only 3 losses for the season. They're tough to beat at the moment. And like you said, that was genius from Mourinho. That was probably his finest tactical performance all season. And he's back, baby. He's back.
As much as I despise him, what he did to nullify Kante, it felt like he'd spent the last 2 seasons just thinking to himself, how do I stop this guy? Because against, you saw Chelsea versus Leicester, and he's just done a masterclass, and it'll be interesting to see how many teams adapt that. They put their playmaker real deep and expose Kante because he can't run the field that much to stay, in possession.
Love him or hate him, that's what Mourinho does. He lives for these kind of moments.
Yeah, the big battles.
He's not a Jurgen Klopp. He's not, how can we entertain the fans?
No.
He's how can I shut down this team and stuff up their title chances? And when he has a mission like that, that's just tailor-made for Mourinho, and he did the job. So he's blown the title race wide open. And he's given them a chance for the top 4 as well. They're only 4 points off from City now, with a game in hand, by the way.
Yeah, they've got the double game week this week. They play Burnley on the Sunday, and then I think they midweek against City.
The City. Yeah, so
huge game,
huge, and they're every chance to make the top 4 now. So. It's been a good season for Man United, and like you said, watch out for next season when they get it together. They're going to spend the cash again.
Definitely.
Watch out next season. This is an awesome Premier League all of a sudden.
It's the closest it's ever been, and I think depressingly as an Arsenal fan, it's probably the worst Arsenal have been. So, I mean, maybe it's ironic that the timing's there. Maybe it's just indicative of how Arsenal have kept me, coasting.
Yeah, well, look, I mean,
position.
Arsenal against Middlesbrough was wholly unconvincing.
They went to a back 3. It's actually his first tactical change for 20 years.
Yeah, that's right.
In terms of formation.
Yeah, to try and mix it up a bit.
To beat Borough.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The bottom of the ladder scored the least goals in the league.
I mean, the good news, I guess, is Ozil scored and stuff like that, but depressing, I think, still, if you're an Arsenal fan. They got to go up against Leicester now. Leicester knocked out of the Champions League. That won't be an easy game for them either, but, I mean, quite frankly, I think top 4 is gone for Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. I think United might actually pip City even.
Yeah.
I think it could be interesting. City and Arsenal might miss out on the top 4 here, which would be incredible, really. But City do have the game in hand on Liverpool. So if they win that, they go to 67, 1 point ahead of Liverpool. So, I mean, it's very tight. Arsenal nowhere near. And, I mean, a lot of talking points. The title challenge in the top 4 still well and truly on.
Yeah. I mean, the EPL is awesome at the moment. Probably the relegation battle not as exciting.
No, not really, right?
You'd probably say it's out of Hull and Swansea for that last spot, and that's pretty much it.
How hasn't David Moyes got Sunderland out of this? The old Big Dave.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're gone. Middlesbrough are gone as well, I think, and it's really just Hull probably should scrape out of it, and Swansea back down again. So maybe the relegation battle not as exciting, but the battle for the top four and the title is well and truly wide open.
Yeah, interesting, actually, who's coming up. Brighton, I think the first time in the league for like 34 years or something, so it'd be good to see them. And I think Fulham potentially might get in as well. So,
well, interestingly, and Newcastle getting the wobbles.
Yeah.
At the end there, so
that'll be interesting. What happens?
And I think Aaron Moy and Huddersfield, they're still in with a shot of at least a playoff spot, I think.
Yeah.
Which would be interesting as well. To maybe potentially have an Aussie back in the Premier League.
That'd be nice.
Especially if he came back up via a promotion like that. I think that would be a good story as well. But
he's been a key figure there, so yeah, very
that's
impressive.
right. But yeah, like you said, the battle, the battle for promotion in the Championship is on, and I think the other interesting one was Zola. Quit. Who was he managing? I think it was like a League One team, perhaps.
Yeah, I can't remember who they are.
And
I saw that though.
It looks like they're about to go down, and I think they said something like 2 wins out of 22 or something like that. So you want to have an ex-player as a manager? There you go.
Yeah, there's your evidence.
There's your evidence of why you don't want one. He's sacked himself there. He's gone.
Yeah, it's just incredible to see like some like, you know, like when we're growing up, some key established EPL teams like in League One and stuff. It's just crazy. You see like Wigan and Bolton, and they've just dropped so far.
Well, like you said, like once you're down, it's unless you got the money, you and unless you can come straight back up, you're in a bit of strife, and you just see the difference between like a well-run team and a poorly run team. You know, the poorly run teams, they just go through managers, and the spiral continues. Whereas you look at a well-run team like a Huddersfield, who got a good coach and they're playing good football. I think it pays off. Like they've gone for the long-term view. And you see now they're playing good football. They're on their way back up potentially, and when they get back up, hopefully they can stay up through good management and good tactics rather than just sort of somehow fluking it up and then come crashing straight back down.
You see like teams like Leeds, they just never come back up. Like they're always around the top 6 and they just continuously like choke.
Yeah. And they're a bit of a basket case themselves as well.
They're managed by a bit of a
It just shows, you know, there's so much more than just playing good football, I guess, or having the money. You really need to be organised.
Yeah, definitely, especially with that 100 mil just for getting in the EPL.
That's right.
Huge money. Speaking of, we'll go to the FA Cup. 4 teams. I was going to say the top 4, but Arsenal aren't. I guess the big game, Chelsea Spurs. It's all of a sudden it's interesting what will happen there. Arsenal and City are a bit different, I guess, because I don't know how much you followed Pep this season, but I think it was about a month ago. He came out and said, I think this is when City went out of the Champions League.
Yep.
They lost that. They lost the league game, and then they lost 3 in a row. I can't remember the exact games, but they lost 3 in a row. They beat Hull, and he talked about how the fans. It was very strange. The fans started cheering when they were beating Hull,
right?
And he thinks that like. The fans aren't holding the players to account. Like there's no accountability because the fans get over like losses too easily. And he says it's different.
So he wants pep out banners.
Well, it's interesting, right? He sort of wants the the Barcelona. You screw up for a game, you get booed off the field.
We're going to burn your house down.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it seems like he's putting in place like an excuse.
Yeah.
For why City are going out of the big games because there's no accountability on the players like performing.
Yeah. I think that's a bit of a cop-out.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, they've been up and down all season, City, and I think a lot of it's probably just been that they've struggled to adapt to his style.
And the key ones are Aguero. They've struggled like in terms of their striker and their goal scoring.
That's right, and they've also gone for that 3 at the back, like Melbourne City. That's the City philosophy now, is that 3 at the back, and it's a tough formation to play. I mean, from what I understand, that's the new formation going forward now worldwide. This is the new way to play. But it's tough. 3 at the back. I mean, when you turn the ball over, you're under the pump.
The thing is, because like with the 3-5-2 or the 3-4-3, like the 2 wide players, they're like typically a winger. And most wingers aren't used to that type of expectation, that sort of responsibility in terms of defending when you lose the ball. And it's a very unique player that is like excels there, and most teams don't have it.
That's right, and you come up against it, and I mean, you saw City got done by Leicester, where that quick counter, a clinical finisher, and you're in trouble. So you're playing with risk, and that's what's been the story for City all season, I think. But I think the FA Cup's going to be interesting to see Chelsea v Tottenham now.
Who's your tips for that? Because we did go through this and gave our predictions about a month ago, but have that changed? I think, honestly, my predictions, I think it's going to be a North London derby final. I think Arsenal somehow are going to beat City, and I think Spurs will beat Chelsea.
I'm with you there. I think I have a feeling like Arsenal will win. Arsenal have been strong in the FA Cup for a few years now. It's kind of been their title, their trophy. And I wouldn't be surprised if they knocked off City in that one. Chelsea-Tottenham, I think, that's going to be an interesting one. And how crazy do Tottenham want to go to knock off Chelsea there, and make a bit of a statement? I don't know. But
I think it would be a statement.
It would be, yeah. I mean, and if Tottenham were to knock off Chelsea and then win the FA Cup and lose the title by like a point or two, I mean, would you almost even say that Tottenham deserve to, I mean, obviously not, but you could almost say that they kind of deserve to win the league in a way if they can knock off Chelsea and get really close. But that one's going to be tough. I have a feeling about Arsenal as well, like they might get the job done against City.
Arsene Wenger's going to pull it through to save his contract.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think Spurs and Arsenal. I don't know why. Naturally, you'd think Chelsea and City, but I don't know. I just get a strange feeling about this one.
Arsenal are the cup specialists now.
The cup specialists in the cup. No one wants to win. But
that's right.
Let's see how it goes. Let's end with the Champions League. There's been some, I guess, interesting results. Leicester had a 1-1 draw with Atletico. Performed better than most English clubs I've seen for 5 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Madrid Bayern Munich game rift with controversy.
Controversial?
If you ever need a video assistant referee, I think it's the Champions League, because holy crap.
What's the deal there? I mean, was that just, I mean, obviously you don't want to insinuate anything, but
corruption.
Is that, is it, or is it just bad refereeing? Poor refereeing or inconsistent refereeing?
Bit of column A, bit of column B.
Yeah.
There's this funny video going around on YouTube. It's like a compilation of the highlights, and it shows these Madrid players doing consistent fouling out wide, getting no yellow card, and then you've got Vidal makes 2 tackles, gets double yellowed, and it's just like, what referee is watching this game? Because like, it's just, when you watch that, it looks like there's corruption, because it's honestly, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, he wasn't happy. He was one player who certainly wasn't happy. And look, I mean, Real Madrid are the sexy team. That's it left in the Champions League now that Barca are out. So, or Barca, look to be out. So, yeah, I mean, I just think, I don't know. It was strange. It was definitely strange. And probably Madrid would have, deserved, could have got the win anyway, but that was just mind-boggling.
I think they did deserve to win. Yeah, it's just very strange what happened. And I guess we've got now the 2 Spanish clubs going through, potentially a third if Barcelona can repeat their PSG miracle. I don't think they can.
Nah.
We'll find out tomorrow morning, I mean. What about the Monaco-Dortmund game? You think anything's going to happen there? Obviously, Dortmund were a bit upset about their game going through because of, the explosion. But they've got a goal to make up in Monaco. Not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and I mean, obviously there's still some emotion around that and stuff like that, but I think that's going to be a tough one for Dortmund to come back from. I think, like you said, the big one for me was Leicester. That's, like you said, that's one of the best performances by an English club for a long, long time.
It was professional, I think the word is. Like, they didn't lose their heads. there was a bit of chanting in the first game that I didn't like, but their players have stayed professional, and it's a credit to England, I guess, because you see a team come up, they've earned it off the back of one season and perform better than the teams that think they should have it every season.
Well, and especially like a team like City that with all their money and all that have just really struggled in the Champions League, like year in, year out. Leicester City have put some of the other clubs to shame, I think. So, impressive for them. They bow out now because, now it's really the cream of the crop, and, it's probably just got a little bit too tough for them, but certainly no disgrace there. But look, I'm tipping Monaco to go through, and I think Juve are just far too wily for Barcelona. They're not gonna get sucked in like that again, like
I think
PSG were.
Nah, Juventus are a much mature team. PSG got a lot of youth, and
just
I think
Juventus come back to haunt us.
Well, I was so adamant that PSG were going to win, like this new super club of Europe,
I'm not going to take credit. I'm not going to take credit and say that I called or anything. I was just questioning it, like I was being devil's advocate and throwing it out there. I didn't actually believe it, but I think to if they do it again, like that's then fair play. They're just the greatest team of all time. But I think it's once too many now. I think Juventus are just far too strong. I mean, they're far too strong and they're far too smart to go down after with a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, I think Juventus will win. I just hope that in the semi that Juventus don't draw against Madrid. I hope that the teams are separate from each other, because I would hate to see another Spanish final like Atletico versus Real Madrid. Like, please no.
Yeah, that's right. And look, these are probably the two strongest teams now. If you'd have to say Juventus and Real Madrid, so I think that would be the best final.
Yeah, me too. Let's leave it there for this week. We're obviously very excited about the A-League finals coming up. The Champions League midweek as well. Tomorrow should be good. What are you most looking forward to this week before we go?
Look, I won't lie. Melbourne City, Perth Glory. Yeah. I think that's going to be a ripper. But like you said, this is just a huge week.
Sunday's a big night. We've got the City Glory game and then the Arsenal City Chelsea Spurs FA Cup.
That's right.
Fantastic night.
Big weekend of football, I think.
Looking forward to it. Well, thanks for joining us once again, Edin.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. You can find us at www.theaverageaustralian.com. We're also on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Patreon. If you like our show or just want to abuse us, please do like and subscribe where humanly possible. It does help us out. So until then, we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.